severe storm just hit Newfoundland, and it's feeling like a weather bomb. I'm talking devastation, record-breaking pressure, and winds that will make you glad you weren't there. Let's take it step by step. First off, this beast hit Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. It wasn't just any storm, it went through something called bombogenesis. That's when a low-pressure system drops super fast, like 24 millibars in 24 hours, turning it into an absolute nightmare. Eastern and southern Newfoundland got the worst of it. Meteorologists in St. John's measured the sea level pressure dipping below 960 hectopascals. That's a brand new November record. It blew past the old one of 971.4 hectopascals. For context, the lower the pressure, the crazier the weather. Now, the winds? Insane. Gusts topped 170 kilometers per hour, that's over 100 miles an hour, near Sable Island and southeastern Newfoundland. We're talking one of the strongest hits since Hurricane Fiona back in 2022. Environment Canada didn't mess around. They slapped wind warnings, heavy rain alerts, and storm surge notices all over the island. The Avalon Peninsula took the brunt, gusts between 120 and 140 kilometers per hour, or roughly 75 to 87 miles per hour. Trees? Down. Power lines? Snapped. Infrastructure? Battered. Over 9,000 homes lost electricity, and coastlines are still cleaning up the mess. Crazy to think how fast Mother Nature can flip the switch, right? If you've ever been through a nor'easter on the East Coast, this is that on steroids. That's the latest from up north. Stay safe out there, folks. Drop a like if you want more extreme weather breakdowns, subscribe for updates, and hit the bell so you never miss one. Out in Newfoundland and Cape Breton, things are getting real. One local described it straight up: "We're at the mercy of the sea." Waves are slamming over an already beaten seawall, cracked and crumbling from the last storm. Water's pouring over the top like it's nothing. 2 families had to be pulled out of their homes just to be safe, and local crews are on high alert waiting for the next high tide. We're talking full-on coastal flooding, serious erosion, and waves anywhere from 20 to 40 feet high. That's taller than a 3-story building crashing right into people's front doors. Homes, roads, power lines, everything's at risk. And it's not just water. The storm dumped 1 to 2.5 inches of rain across the region. Some spots got even more. Up in the higher hills of western Newfoundland and Labrador, heavy, wet snow piling on top of it all. Roads turned into rivers. Ice sheets everywhere. Visibility? Basically zero. Emergency crews were out all night, clearing trees, pumping water, trying to get the lights back on. The province put out an urgent advisory. Stay inside. Stay away from the coast. Keep checking Environment Canada for updates. If you've got family or friends out that way, now's the time to reach out. Make sure they're safe, charged up, and nowhere near the water. Drop a comment below if you're riding this out, or if you've got footage, send it our way. You've probably seen the images coming out of Newfoundland. The recent storm didn't just bring bad weather, it exposed some serious weak points in the region's coastal defenses. In several communities, especially in towns like Tripe, the infrastructure just wasn't up to the task. Aging seawalls were overtopped and breakwaters failed to hold back the surge. Combine that with limited drainage systems, and you have a recipe for widespread flooding. Making matters worse, many of these areas have only 1 or 2 main access roads, which are remote and were quickly compromised. This severely hampered emergency response efforts, leaving some towns cut off. The situation got so bad that emergency shelters had to be opened for residents who were forced from their homes. In response, the Transportation and Infrastructure Minister issued a public statement. He acknowledged that public services are under immense strain and pledged full support for rapid damage assessments and repairs. The statement read, and I'm quoting here, "We are coordinating with local municipalities to ensure safety and recovery for our citizens." You might have heard the term weather bomb on the news, but what does that actually mean? Simply put, a weather bomb is a storm that goes through a process called bombogenesis. That's a technical term for when the central pressure of a storm drops very sharply, at least 24 millibars in just 24 hours. This rapid intensification is like throwing a turbocharger on a storm. It creates incredibly powerful winds and leads to very severe weather conditions. Recently, a powerful storm, which we'll call the North Atlantic Storm, did exactly this. It didn't just meet that intensification threshold, it blew right past it. This made it one of the most powerful and dangerous storm systems to hit the region in recent memory. So why did this happen? Meteorologists pointed to a few key factors: unusually warm Atlantic Ocean waters, a very energetic jet stream, and the natural seasonal shifts that happen in the late fall. When these elements combine, they can supercharge a storm, making it much stronger, much faster. On the ground, the response was immediate. Local fire departments, volunteer groups, and emergency services sprang into action. Across social media, people were sharing images and videos of the damage, downed trees, flooded neighborhoods, and some truly heroic rescue efforts. For safety, schools and public offices in the hardest-hit areas were closed. As the fierce winds finally began to calm, the massive cleanup operations got underway. Utility crews worked non-stop to restore power, and by Wednesday evening, most people in urban centers had their electricity back. The storm left a path of damage, but it also revealed the incredible strength of the community. Here in St. John's, neighbors are already helping each other out, boarding up windows, clearing fallen trees, and offering a place to stay for those who were displaced. One longtime resident put it simply, "It's tough, but we've been through worse." But this event is raising bigger questions. Climate experts are pointing out that because of shifting ocean temperatures and climate patterns, we may be facing storms like this more often, and they could be even more intense. This has sparked a serious conversation about how we prepare. How do we build more resilient coastal towns? There's a growing call for local governments to invest in stronger seawalls, modernize our drainage systems, and improve emergency alert systems. In the town of St. Mary's, the situation was especially dire. The mayor, Steve Ryan, described it as a perfect storm. After getting just 1 hour of sleep, he woke up to devastating news. The town's major fish plant had burned to the ground. Mayor Ryan said the conditions that night were, in his words, unbearable. He described a scene of intense fire, raging against a backdrop of hurricane-force winds and what he called an angry, angry ocean. A major fire at a fish processing plant has shaken a small community here on the East Coast. Last night, about 20 residents had to evacuate their homes, finding temporary shelter at the local town hall until the early morning. The plant's owner confirmed it was the largest employer in the entire region. At its peak season, it provided jobs for more than 300 people, both from the local area and from abroad. The town's mayor described these as good, high-paying jobs. He called the plant a local success story. Speaking with clear emotion, he said, "This is really hurtful. A lot of people had planned their entire lives around this plant." Officials say the fire flared up again this morning, likely fueled by the continuing high winds. They now report the blaze is under control. The region has been battered by extreme weather. On Tuesday, wind gusts were recorded as high as 110 miles per hour. A wind warning from the National Weather Service remains in effect for the area today, with coastal gusts expected to reach nearly 70 miles per hour. The situation was made even more difficult when the community lost power. That outage also took down the already limited cell phone service, leaving residents further isolated. On top of that, there's a major road closure to be aware of. Route 90, which runs through St. Vincent's Beach, is closed in both directions because of significant flooding. The Department of Transportation is advising everyone to avoid that area completely, and the power outages are still affecting many. As of Wednesday morning, the numbers were still coming down, but here's the breakdown. From St. John's to the southern shore, 41 customers were still in the dark. In the areas of Long Harbor and Coley's Point, 272 customers were without power. On the Vernon Peninsula, 86 customers were waiting for their power to be restored. And in the region from Sunnyside to the Bonavista Peninsula, over 1,300 customers were still affected. Crews are working to get everyone back online. We'll keep you updated as the situation develops. There are widespread power outages affecting several communities this morning. In the area from Gander to New West Valley, over 1,200 customers have woken up without power. And in the communities of Seal Cove, Wild Cove, Point of Bay, Cottrell's Cove, and Fortune Harbor, nearly 600 more are also in the dark. The good news is that the power company is on it. A spokesperson said they're hoping to have most power restored by noon, Newfoundland time, today. But she did add a word of caution, saying that with the winds still being so high, further outages are still a possibility. This is all due to a major weather system hitting the region. We're seeing locally heavy snowfall in places like Corner Brook, Massey Drive, Grand Falls, Windsor, and all along the Trans-Canada Highway across western Newfoundland. The snow has even been reported as far east as Gander. So, a couple of things to be aware of if you're in the area. First, be prepared for the possibility of more power outages. And second, expect some potential travel impacts on the roads. Also, if you have ferry travel plans, be sure to check your schedule. Marine Atlantic has already canceled all ferry crossings for this Wednesday morning. Stay safe out there, everyone.